Yeah, Jeff has a quiet way about him that I like. I think one of the things I've learned is let people be themselves. Just try to make them help them be the best version of themselves. So I want him to lead in a way that he feels comfortable with. And I see him exerting his presence, and more and more often. I think Jeff's a triple threat. He can run it, he can throw it, and he can beat you with his brain. He's smart. So he's not super talked about outside of Nebraska circles. I think he's going to play really well. The last thing I'll say is I think everyone plays for him. The guys play for him. Like they want to see him be successful. He cares about all the guys on the team and spends a lot of time with all the guys on the team.
Beat you with his brain. How does a quarterback do that?
Yeah, I think it's about getting in the right play when there's a check. It's about audibling to a man beater when you got man coverage. It's about sliding the protections. It's about knowing where to go versus different coverages. It's getting the ball to the right guy. Like there's this documentary on Netflix right now called Quarterbacks, right? And I think what everyone's probably seeing is it's not really it's not really about who has the best arms. It's about who has the best brain, the best mindset, the best feel for the game, who has the mental strength to overcome the physical beating that you take. So I think Jeff has all those things. I think Jeff's an NFL player if he'll just continue to develop.
Garrett McGuire on a radio interview recently talked about Xavier Betts and just how proud he is of him. Can you just talk about his journey through the spring and then where he is right now as part of the program?
Yeah, Xavier had to come back. He had to pass 18 credits to be eligible just because of the time away. Not he'd missed credits, so he had to get his degree percentage. At the same time, he had to do all. He was going to do football too. So really pleased with him. He's a really, really smart young man, highly intelligent, and he cares about people. So I think Xavier's special in that regard. Not only did he pass 18, he passed 21 credits, which is that's hard to do. And hopefully Xavier sees what he's capable of. He's certainly capable of a lot football-wise. My job is to have people understand that success isn't talent, success is achievement. Just because you're talented doesn't mean you're successful. Yeah, you take that talent and you achieve something, it means you're successful. And I'm really proud of what Xavier achieved this spring and this summer as well, on and off the field. Yeah, we had a speaker come in a couple last year, in Kevin Eastman. Kevin worked with the Celtics, and when they started talking about their team goals, the first year that they brought, the big three, Kevin Garnett. I'm not a basketball fan, so I'll probably say I don't want to make anyone mad and say the wrong names, but Kevin Garnett, came in and said, hey, my goal for this year is to make everyone, appreciate and respect what the Celtic jersey means again. And so, for me, when I think about Nebraska, I just think about that helmet. It's just it's iconic to me. It's all across college football what that means. And are we being talked about right now? I mean, are people talking about, wow, it's, I'm not talking about within Nebraska, I'm talking about nationally. And so for me, this is about us as a program, from the way we practice to the way we travel to the way we carry ourselves. I told Keith Van this morning, I wanted to be the first guy here this morning. I just want us to do everything better than everyone else. And that pride, that respect that we have for each other and the way that we do things. You've heard me say many times, I don't want our fans coming to the games just because they love Nebraska. I want them coming because they love Nebraska and they know they're going to see a good football team. And so there's a lot on us that we have to do. And so if we're making progress towards that, then people will respect who we are. Our players will respect who we are. Our opponents will respect who we are. And that's the first step towards championship mindset.
Obviously,
Matt, you've taken...
There's a sense of wanting to be as good as possible as soon as possible. But you also have talked about being patient, not getting ahead of yourself. What are the things in the first year that you want to be urgent about, the things that you don't want to compromise on at all, and what are the things that you might have to be patient about as you build the program?
Yeah, so when I say patience, I don't mean patient in terms of the results at all. We are it's 4th and goal every single day in our building. That's the mindset. It's 4th and goal every day. I go away to see my family at the beach, and everyone's I know you're on vacation. I'm not on vacation. I'm working from the beach. This is 24/7, 365. We're chasing greatness. I mean, there's no, everyone here is sprinting to stay ahead of us. We got to catch them and then get where we want to be. So the urgency is elite. It's just, I don't want to skip steps along the way. Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't want to take shortcuts. I don't want to build something that hey, we show everybody a little bit of hope this year, but then next year we take a step back. So I never want year 2 to be year 1, if that makes sense. So this is year 1. you know, I want us to win every game. I want us to, but like I'm not right now. I can't think about the games. I want us. I mean, I expect us to do everything right. I expect that, you know, guys to show up on Sunday and be on time, and so it's just this mindset of everything matters, everything counts. That's all I mean. So I don't want anyone to take like, hey, Coach Rhule said, hey, calm down, don't get excited. No, there's no one that's more anxious for this than me. It's just that I know the only way we can win the game is if we're awesome all camp. So that's the mindset, you know. And I want our guys to just have this stable, steady every single day. Because like, all right, we play Minnesota game 1. What if we win? What if we lose? Like, we still play the next week, don't we? Like, so like, you know, and our guys learned the hard way last year. When you start being like, this is an important game and this isn't, well, Georgia Southern happens. So I don't want us thinking that way. Every single game's an important game. And as I say that to former players, they kind of laugh. They'll be like, oh, Coach Osborne used to say that all the time. We'd roll our eyes. Like, yeah, but that Coach Osborne figured it out before I did. And so I'm just doing the same thing that the people who won at Nebraska did.
When did punctuality become a radical thing? Because it seems like being on time is hard now.
Yeah, because I think everyone's kind of like on time-ish, you know, like you know, you show up at 8:04. It's like, well, man, I'm here. Like, no, if you have a meeting with me, be here at 8. Like, actually be early, you know. So it's just because I'm willing to act on it, it seems like a bigger deal. I can promise you our players are way more disciplined than most programs. I can promise you that. It's just if you're gonna be late to breakfast 3 or 4 times, or you're gonna miss breakfast or something, I'm gonna take actions. Not because I don't love you, but in fact because I do care greatly about what I can't have guys leaving our program and going out in the real world and not functioning. I'll feel like a failure. And so we're gonna treat our building like it's the real world. Like, guys would walk into when I was at the Giants, guys would walk into a meeting early, and Coach Coughlin he wouldn't say a word to me, just the fine, right? And they say, no, they have a $2,000 fine, or they miss something, they have a $14,000 fine. I don't want players from Nebraska playing in the NFL and getting fined. I want them knowing to be 5 minutes early. You know, actually get there 10 minutes early, put your phone down and talk to people, and watch how the world opens up for you. So.
How did the NFL experience make you a better coach?
Well, obviously, I think the NFL. Well, I think just being around the football and the players, I learned a lot. You know, we're talking about recovery. When you're coaching someone like Christian McCaffrey, like, you learn everything that there is out there. Like, hey, coach, there's this thing here, this thing there. So, you know, we're building a lot of things in our building. I think for me, on a personal note, like, every job I had taken before that had a happy ending. So, you know, you kind of always assume it's going to work out. And for me, you know, I'm probably a lot better now because I'm coming off of some adversity. And then see, like, I learned a lot about, you know, leadership by leading in tough times. It's easy to lead when things are going well. It's easy to lead when you're winning every game. You know, when you're about to get fired and everyone's calling, you know, the whole stadium's booing for you to get fired. Like, look around here, guys. And they said, think about if they were going like, fire, simple, fire, here, how that would feel. And your kids are in the stands. Like, but I did that. And you know what I learned? I'm tough. And my family's tough. And you know what? After that happened, I went home and saw my daughters. I played with them. I hung out. I didn't take it home. And I learned a lot about, hey, sometimes as a leader, you have to be the one out front taking the bullets so that people behind you can move forward. So keeping that team together through that adversity was something that I'm not proud of. And so as I come to Nebraska now, like, I know if I do something, there's going to be a lot of different opinions about it. And you know what? I respect everyone, but I'm going to do what I think is right, because I've seen what happens when everyone has an opinion. I've got to do what I think is right and be tough enough to just stand with it. Like, if I think, you know what, guys, we're going to wear this color cleats, we're going to wear this color cleats. Hey, guys, we're going to do that. Like, someone's going to be upset maybe, but I owe it to the University of Nebraska to go all in. I can't go half in and gauge the temperature of everything. I got to go all in. And so I maybe wouldn't have been able to do that if I had not gone through what I just went through.
So you've already been at 2 programs where nobody in the room when you arrived knew how to win, at Temple and at Baylor. Now you're in the same situation. How do you take a group of players that aren't used to winning and get that turned around?
Yeah, you know, and to me it's unique in Nebraska because there's been all these games that are so close. Like, literally, you know how ESPN has like that predictor, like you're 90. I bet you most games in the fourth quarter, Nebraska was favored to win. And so, to me, it's all these things. Like, I talk a lot about being on time. I talk a lot about, well, you know what? Like, if I can't count on you to show up to things in the summer, I don't know that I can count on you to be inside leverage when you're supposed to be inside leverage. Like, because it's these little things that cause winning and losing. So, it's the strength program. It's the nutrition program. It's our guys getting bigger and stronger because, you know what? The stronger, more physical team usually wins in the fourth quarter. They wear the other team out instead of getting worn out. So it's our approach to the offseason. It's our approach to discipline, which to me is just doing what you say you're going to do. And it's also confidence. Like, I want our guys to be confident that we're going to win, even when it looks like maybe like the odds are against us. And so putting them in those situations in practice, inoculating them against that stress, because we have a bunch of good players. They'll play great at practice. My job is to get them to play great in the games the way they do at practice. And a lot of that is just helping them overcome stress, overcoming the fear of failure. So we'll do everything from we'll read a book during preseason camp that talks about it, to guys do mindfulness, guys do yoga. We yell and scream at practice, so they learn to just tune things out. There's a reason for everything that we do, and hopefully it ends up working sooner rather than later.
Promised all the easy questions for you. You were a walk-on in college.
Sir.
What does that say? Obviously, tradition in college football, it's not all the stars come in, but how does that help you evaluate talent, knowing that you were a walk-on one time, to evaluate these kids to make them better?
Yeah, I think when you're a walk-on, I always kind of laugh, like, you show up at 5:30 in the morning to get yelled at by someone like me at practice and do hard things, and you're paying to do it. It's beautiful. And so that those guys love the game. The ones that we have, they love Nebraska. I loved Penn State. And they want to be there for all the right reasons. So as much as we talk about all the things that are wrong in college football, I can point out a lot of things that are right. And so I think that's really important. And then at the same time, I look at, one of the best players in football today is Hassan Reddick. He was a walk-on for me at Temple. I learned pretty early on, like, who they are at 18 is not necessarily who they are at 22 or who they are at 27. So we try to give everyone a chance. And by a chance, I mean reps and opportunities and chances to show what they can do. So, and I think for me, like, I love the game because I love the game. And I probably always have a little bit of chip on my shoulder because I knew at Penn State I was going to get a chance. I just knew I wasn't going to get as many chances as everybody else. So I didn't have an opportunity to, like, let things slide. I had to be grateful for my chances and make the most of them. And that's kind of how I feel now coming to Nebraska. Like, I'm getting a chance to do this. I gotta make the most of it.
Matt, kind of going back to your NFL experience, did anything draw you back to college, specifically at Nebraska, or did it just kind of happen?
Yeah, I think that I was, we're all meant to do something. We all have a purpose through our lives. I was meant to work with this age group. When I did get fired, it was almost like I was getting eulogized the next day. Like, all my former players were texting me and reaching out to me and, hey, coach, you meant this to me. Hey, coach, you helped me do this. And there's just for me and my purpose, working with young people, I just enjoy the college game. I enjoy recruiting. I enjoy getting to know the parents. I enjoy watching guys graduate. I enjoy watching guys get jobs, have kids. I'm now starting to get to the point where guys I coach, their kids are starting to come up. It's scary but true. And so my wife and kids, like, they missed college. Like, in college, they knew everyone. Like, they knew the families. They, on the away games, they sit in the stands, like, with the, and all of a sudden now they're in the NFL and they don't know any of the players. They certainly don't know their families. So, and part of my NFL experience was also COVID, so that was kind of off too. But I just like being around young people in these formative years and watch them become things that maybe they didn't know they were going to be.
Right. It seems like, what is it? What are, not everybody says that.
Yeah, I like recruiting. I like route. Well, first of all, if you like to compete, don't you like? I like to compete in recruiting. So, to me, like, when you recruit, you have a chance to compete at everything you do. And I like to recruit. I really like to evaluate first. Let me say that. Sometimes people will tell me that there's a lot of talk about, they took this guy who's unrecruited, that guy who's unrecruited. Why should what someone else is doing, their opinion of a player, affect my opinion? That means I'm weak. So, like, I like to evaluate. We had 3,000 kids, I think, come through our camps. I took 1,000 pictures with youth campers 2 days in a row. Like, I like people, first of all, but I like evaluating. I like watching people. I like, looking at a kid at 15, 16, 17 and being like, that kid's going to be this when he's 22. So you're not always right, but I like the projection. I like all that. I like watching tape. But then I also like relationships and families. I like having people come in. And I just have learned, like, oh, bro.
Past the guard.
Let's not say anything. No one tweet it. I don't need anyone coming to me with, why'd you get coffee? But also, like, what I've learned is I'm really not recruiting anyone to come to Nebraska. I'm telling each person who we are, what we do, why we do it, and then for each guy I'm saying, here's our vision for you, and here's our plan to get you there. And if it works for them, great. And if it doesn't, we wish them the best. And, like, I'm not a slick talker. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, you need to come here because of this. You need to come here because of that. Like, I put that, like, New York City side of me to the side, and I have an 18-year-old son. All I pray for is that my son ends up in the right place with the right people. if he ends up in the wrong place, I don't know. So I don't want kids coming to Nebraska that it's the wrong place. I want them coming for the right reasons. So I love recruiting, and I think we're doing a pretty good job. I'm not the rankings and the numbers and all that. Like, we had kids come to our camp that ran 4.38, 4.42, broad jump 10.5, and had pro agilities. I don't care who else offered them. Like, if I can't coach a guy that runs that fast and jumps that high, then I can't coach. So that's kind of the fun part to me also, is finding the guys that are out there, and I'm really happy with our camps, having that many guys. At first, the first camp was only like 150, 160, and then it just kind of slowly grew, and I'm hoping we get to 4,000 or 5,000 kids next year, because I want people all across the state of Nebraska and anywhere to come knowing they're going to have a great
It
experience.
seems like the consensus outside was that June was successful for you. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, well, June was hard, first of all. I thought I was going to have a couple people quit on the staff. There was one Friday we had an official visit, a morning practice, an afternoon practice, and I think most schools around the country, what they're doing is they're letting the GAs coach the camp, and they're doing the official visit. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Like, we coached the camp, we did the official visit. It was really hard, but on that weekend, on Sunday, it was so good for me and the staff to be like, did it work? Like, just did it work? Well, we offered a bunch of kids that came to the camp that we didn't really know a ton about, or that we liked but we weren't sure. And then we had a bunch of guys commit. And so a lot of parents, and I think a lot of kids nowadays, they're recognizing, like, if these coaches work this hard at camp or this hard at official visit, how are they going to work on my academics, my health, my mental health? Like, they're probably going to be pretty intentional about that. So I think June was a big success, not just for this year, but for the future. Now, recruiting, like, they're committed. People are going to come after them. They're going to want them to come. But you know what? We're going to go after guys too. So, I mean, there's still a lot of recruiting left to be done.
I have to ask you to go back to it. You said you're going to read a book during fall camp. If you're an avid reader, you've got specific books you like. Is there something specific that you want the team to read?
Yeah, and I won't say the book just because I'll get out in 1 minute. But I'll tell the book. So Donnie Rhule is going to do he'll do a team-wide book. He did it last year with the O-line, but he'll do a team-wide. Like a book club, like we'll do it let's say 15 minutes a day, 3 days a week for 2 weeks. The book's called Twin Thieves. It's a great book. Donnie gave it to me early on. It's kind of like what they call an allegory, it's kind of like about I don't know if allegory is the right term. If it is, forgive me, but it's basically about a coach working with a fictional team and helping the guys learn how to overcome doubt, fear of failure. So Donnie and I read all the same books. Like, people always ask, why did you hire him? When I walked in his office and I saw the books he had, I was like, man, me and this guy are definitely alike, because I only read a certain type of book for the most part, and we had all the same base one. So, and it's cool for me. Like, he's going to do that part of it. Dr. Haskell's going to do all the mindfulness and meditation. It's not just me in front of the team. It's Garrett and Terrence are going to do, the quarterback show. They're going to pull out clips and show guys. So all of our coaches have a chance now to get in front of the team at some point.
Is it possible that Donovan planted those books in his job?
No. No, he if you know him, he's a psychopath in terms of that stuff. He reads the same things.
With recruiting, how do you think the TV deals being on NBC, CBS, Fox will impact Nebraska's recruiting?
It's phenomenal. To think that we'll be on Fox national TV the first 2 games of the year. I was in New Jersey the last couple of weeks, right? Like, people see me, they'll say, Coach, Nebraska, day after Thanksgiving, these iconic TV memories for people all across the country. To think that now that people are going to turn on NBC, they're going to turn on CBS, they're going to turn on Fox to see us playing on national TV. They're going to see the environment that's at. And I think another thing is the presentation. The game presentation is going to be elite. Like, you watch a game on NBC, like, they're going to show Nebraska. One of the biggest things for us is, when you go outside the state, people don't really know what's in Lincoln. They don't know what's in Nebraska. They don't know what's at Memorial. I didn't know. I had to come out and see it. And so I know the teams that are at NBC, CBS, and Fox, they're going to present that in a way that helps us in recruiting at a high level.
Coach, you mentioned on the stage just now about those iconic Colorado, Nebraska games growing up, and just how much of a must-see for those. Just curious, now in this role, are you appreciating that rivalry even more? And then also, are you, from afar, have you taken a look at kind of what Coach Sanders has going on, and just any interactions with him over the time?
Yeah, I've never met Coach Sanders. I recruited a young man from Trinity Catholic, Quaylen Jones, to Baylor. That was his high school. But on the day that I went in, Coach wasn't in, so I dealt with his assistant head coach and just thanked them for letting us recruit him. I think Nebraska, Colorado is good for football. I think I think, as many of the old Big 8 games as we could play, the better. I mean, I think it's great when everyone could drive to all the games and see the games. What I don't want is just football like in this part of the country, I want it east to west, north to south, because I think it's good for the game in the long run. So, in terms of what Colorado's doing, man, I'm so busy with myself. I don't know. My son's on social media, so he'll show me something every now and then. But I think it's awesome. Coach Sanders is making Colorado highly relevant, and we're trying to do the same thing.
Coach, Iowa-Nebraska rivalry. I'm sure you're familiar. They don't like each other very much. What do you think about that? Just being preserved, and you guys are going to play each other once a year for a long time.
Yeah, it's unique for me because when I was in the Big Ten at Penn State, Nebraska wasn't, and so we played Iowa. We had a chance. I thought we were going to go to the national championship in I think it was 95 into 96 or 96. I can't remember the year. And Tim Dwight took a punt and returned back for a touchdown against us, and it kind of ruined the year for us. We ruined going to the national championship. We still went like 10-2, I think, but going to the national championship game. So the Iowa-Nebraska rivalry is kind of new to me, right? Like in terms of seeing it. Obviously, that game this year was huge, but I think having a regional rival, I think having a game that everyone can drive to, I think it's good. I think it's really good. A lot of respect for Coach Ferentz. He's done it his way, the right way, for a really long time. It's awesome. So, I'm excited about the schedule moving forward. I really don't care who we play in terms of in conference. Out of conference, I got a lot of opinions on things like that, but in conference, we got to play them all. So I do know this. Our players didn't come here to play bad teams. They came to Nebraska to play against the best. So, Iowa's a great team, and it'll be an honor to play them.
So what are the opinions out of conference?
Sorry?
So what is the opinion about out-of-conference opponents?
That's my late-night text messages to Trev. I'll keep those ones quiet.
Matt, what has your communication been with Trev about just the moving to the new facility and just, you're starting practice this weekend? How will that go? How will that process happen as far as when you guys will make that move in that new building?
Yeah, we have a weekly, Susan and I have a weekly Zoom call with the people over there. And as much as I want to get in, I also want it to be done right. I don't want to get in and then have, things around us. So, Trev, as you guys know, Trev's visionary. He's awesome. He handles all the details of those things, but they keep us abreast. I think at some point in training camp, we'll probably move the players in. We were hoping before, but, I walk out in the field the other day and I see 2 beautiful grass fields and new turf fields being laid. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you have to just be a little bit patient to wait for things to be done and done right. The coaches, I think, will probably stay over in our offices in meeting rooms for right now, and maybe sometime, in this training camp or fall we'll move in. But the biggest thing to me is I want the players to be able to move into the locker room, training room, recovery area, because the recovery area should be phenomenal as soon as possible. So probably at some point during camp.
Do you have a vision for how you want to run the ball without ever having to use him? Obviously, you want to use his legs and run him, but how do you want to run the ball just with the running backs? Do you have a number that you want to get to, or a kind of how it's supposed to look?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I think that when you look at how you run the ball, take the quarterback out of it, to your point. I have a couple core philosophies. Like, always look at what your O-line does well, right? Now, we're gonna play some 3-4 fronts. We're gonna run different things against the 3-4 fronts than we will against the 4-down fronts. I always believe that a yard outside the tackles, an outside play, is equal to 2 yards inside. Like inside the tackles, it's kind of like a body blow. It's just it's right up the middle. So we'll be stubborn to a fault, but I also know that we're going to have to be able to throw it. We're going to have to be able to be explosive. We're going to have to run the quarterback. So, I want to be diverse in what we do. We're going to run inside zone, outside zone, power, counter. We're not going to just live off of one thing. But I just want to make sure that we have an interior run game as well, right? So if one week I have to spread you out to be able to run the ball inside, I will. If we have to get in tight to condense you, then we will. But I just want people to, when they play us, to line up and have several different things. So there's 2 different philosophies. Like we'll play some teams and they'll say, we run these 2 runs all the time. We're methodical with them. We're going to try to be a little more diverse. We're going to run a bunch of plays. The quarterback run game to me doesn't really count as rushing yardage. It's an outlier. It's an potentially explosive play. I don't want to run the quarterbacks to get 3 or 4 yards. I want to run the quarterbacks in a couple different ways. I want to run them. When we're in the red zone. I want to run them on 3rd down. So when the result is either continuing a drive or scoring, I want to run the quarterback when he's part of a zone read type play where we're hoping to give it, but if he pulls it, it's a big play. And then I think a lot of it what Jeff will do is he's going to drop back to throw it, and then he's going to put the ball down and run. And so those count as free yardage as well. So we don't want to just go out there and just be running quarterback power and getting 4 yards. but if if that happens, it happens. We want to be thoughtful with the ways that we use him.
What's stubbornness going to get you by the fourth quarter of games?
Yeah, we're never going to say like, hey, start fast, guys. Let's get off to a big lead. That's not us. Like, we hope we do. Like, we're just going to go out there and play, and then try to wear teams out in the fourth quarter. So, again, that doesn't. I mean, there might be games where we come out and we throw it the first 10 plays of the game because that's what we think we need to do that game to loosen something. I mean, every game's a little bit different, but the core philosophy is we've got to stop the run and run the ball. We've got to protect our quarterback and attack their quarterback up front. So, the stubbornness just means at the end of the day, there's going to be some games, Sam, where you go out there to run the ball, and it's getting 3 yards, 4 yards. And I've been on those stabs where the coordinator's like, man, we can't run it today. And the O-line coach wants to fight him. Oh, we can run it. Like, we're going to keep running it. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't mean we're not going to throw it. We're going to take 70% layup throws. We're going to push the ball down the field, but we're going to run the football and believe that the cumulative effect affects us. The last thing I'll say is there's times at Temple, when we're playing Penn State, Notre Dame, I'm like, bro, we can't run ISO against Notre Dame. Like, we tried it. We popped one for about 30 yards. They got so mad that, so then we had to spread them out. We run zone read. That wasn't really who we were, but we're going to find a way to run the ball, somehow.
What is Jeff Sims a good spokesman for your program and event like this?
My philosophy, I think the guys will tell you, like, I let everyone on our team speak. I'm not one of those guys who's like, hey, these four guys. Every player that plays for me has to learn how to talk to the media. I just thought these three guys, but Jeff's the quarterback, right? So after every game, you guys, media's probably going to talk to me. They're probably going to talk to Jeff. So to not bring him here would be disingenuous. And I thought, like, Ethan Piper, to me, like, he's truly our brand. Like, he's a Nebraska Cornhusker through and through. And then Luke, he's just prolific. He's been a great player, and he's a local guy. It's like a great story. So, but I could have brought any other guy. I could have brought Ty Robinson. I could have brought so many other guys. But I just thought these three guys were really good. And I think Jeff, he's new. He's never once said, well, this is how I did it before. Like, he's just embraced our culture and our way of doing things. And that's the hardest part in year one, is that all the guys, everything's new to them. The only person who knows what I'm going to do is Fleeks, because he played for me at Baylor. The rest of them are all kind of like, what's next? And Jeff's embraced it all as he's gone.